Bacon is a delicious food that we enjoy without the thought of, what if Babe the Pig went into the abyss to exact revenge for their fallen brethren? When you add the Demon Prince of Madness into the mix, you get... Oh, get it away from me! Welcome back to A Compendium of Monsters. It's now Feshni week. Before we continue, smash that subscribe button or YouTube will squeal. I wish, but your subscription helps me out a lot. Now Feshnis are challenge level 13 and hormonal angsty teenagers always make for the best combat encounters. Now Feshnis have an armor class of 18, average hit points of 184, a speed of 20 feet, a flying speed of 30 feet, and true sight out to 120 feet. Remember, true sight differs from dark vision in that it allows the individual to see normally in magical or regular darkness, see onto the ethereal plane, and have immunity to illusion spells. Now Feshnis can speak in Abyssal, but they also have telepathy out to a range of 120 feet. Now Feshnis have typical demon resistance to fire damage, lightning damage, and cold damage. However, their teenage rampage makes them additionally resist bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. I knew they were part barbarian. Now Feshnis are immune to poison damage and are shockingly immune to the poison condition. Could not have seen that coming. Now Feshnis have one trait, and it's the one that causes even the most seasoned veterans to groan. Magic resistance. If you're not familiar with it, you can kiss your f***ing spellcasters goodbye, since the Nalfeshni has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Nalfeshnis have a 4-part multi-attack that is almost not as bad as it sounds. A Nalfeshni is allowed 3 melee attacks, 1 with its teeth and 2 with its claws. If all 3 attacks hit, the average damage is 62, which is roughly 20 damage per round below a typical challenge level 13 creature. To make up for the loss of damage, the last part of the multi-attack is Horror Nimbus, which affects all creatures within 15 feet of the Nalfeshni that are able to see. Aren't we the lucky ones? Creatures affected have to make a wisdom saving throw or be frightened for 1 minute, which is a lot shorter than I would be frightened if I saw Pegasaurus Rex in the flesh. The frightened effect can end early. If a creature succeeds on a saving throw, they can roll at the end of each of their turns, and once you're scared by Pegasaurus, it's like a jump scare in a movie you've watched too many times. It won't affect you again for a bit. However, Horror Nimbus recharges once every 3 rounds or so. If you haven't been feared, fear not. You will be. Last, Nalfeshnis have the teleport ability. This allows a Nalfeshni to move, with any equipment it is wearing or carrying, 120 feet into an unoccupied space it can see. If you want to add a little extra spice to combat with a Nalfeshni, take a look at variant rules for demon summoning. In case of a Nalfeshni, it has a 50% chance to summon one of the following once per day. 1d4 Vrox, 1d3 Hezru, 1d2 Glabrezu, or another Nalfeshni. Happily, this rapidly expanding House of Horrors can't make additional summons, and the summoned creatures disappear after 1 minute has elapsed, they are killed, or the summoner dismisses them as an action. Let's be honest, the Nalfeshni won't unsummon any demons it is able to call. Fight well or die screaming if your DM uses variant summoning. Nalfeshnis, like all demons, are born from the abyss, though where exactly the first Nalfeshni originated is up for debate. Because of their swine-simian fusion, I hypothesize that Demogorgon played some kind of role in creating the first Nalfeshni, as he's the only demon lord with ape-like qualities. Nalfeshnis are curious demons, as they've existed since 1st edition Dungeons & Dragons. As expected, they have been rendered in ever-increasing quality, though that might not be saying much when you look at the 1st edition depiction. The difficulty of encountering a Nalfeshni hasn't changed significantly over the various editions. Nalfeshnis from 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons are slightly weaker than their older edition selves, but I suspect that's primarily because Nalfeshnis used to be spellcasters with limited ability. 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons remove this feature except for the Horror Nimbus, which has a 1/3 chance to recharge every round. Not bad, but the fear doesn't affect a creature after the first instance is resolved. Despite having the physical attractiveness of a Franken-turkey teddy bear, Nalfeshnis are incredibly intelligent and can make tactical decisions that their subordinate demons are largely incapable of doing. That's not to say beauty has any correlation to intelligence, but somehow Mariliths make it work. Take notes, demons! Nalfeshnis can be brutal towards their subordinates, but take on slavering, sycophantic personalities when dealing with more powerful demons. Nalfeshnis are roughly as smart as Balors, though the Nalfeshnis defer to Balors because of the latter's overall strength. However, this doesn't stop Nalfeshnis from trying to supplant Balors and move up in the abyssal hierarchy, as demons can be promoted similarly to the devils of the 9 hells. Nalfeshnis have a special niche among demons. They are among the few that actually have some kind of conceptual grasp of what the abyss is. We know the abyss as an infinite spawning pool of hellish nightmares based on the ever-changing information about many of the layers. Nalfeshnis are connected to the lifeblood of the abyss and understand the realm's needs and wants. Nalfeshnis are never encountered separately from a host of demons, most of whom are at the Nalfeshnis' command. Interestingly enough, these piggy terrorists have a special job when not commanded by a higher-ranking demon. They act as judges. What do they judge? judge? Well, what are they qualified to judge? Nothing, but that's not canon. Nefeshnies are the judges of mortal souls that come to the Abyss, commonly referred to as petitioners. Petitioner is a super generic term for any afterlife souls going anywhere in the D&D multiverse. They're the same whether they're at the 7 mounting heavens of Celestia or down in the filth, that is, the 9 hells. Granted, the quality of the souls appearing in different places are very different people who have led very different lifestyles, but who cares about that when you can just slap a generic label on the afterlife? Petitioners seeking entry into the Abyss are put into one of several categories: food, slave, or slave food. If you're food, tough shit. If you're made into a slave, you'll likely take the form of a Rudderkin, Main, Dretch, or other lesser demon. Very occasionally, a single petitioner has an extremely low chance to get transformed into a Cosma. I cannot emphasize how unlikely this is, but it allegedly does happen. If you are made into slave food, I don't think that requires much explanation. Speaking of food, Nefeshnies see themselves as cultured and the rest of us as uncultured swine. Nefeshnies have been known to keep live humanoids in larders until time comes for a feast with their piggy friends, in which case the livestock, if you will, are brought out and eaten for the occasion. In typical demon fashion, the humanoids are best fresh and are consumed alive. Nefeshnies at these feasts eat with tarnished, rusted, or mostly destroyed silverware because, again, cultured swine versus uncultured swine. Maybe this is something to think about the next time you get some pork belly. Would you want to be made into human bacon by a demon pig? Who fucking cares? Bacon is the shit. I would say that the cruelty with which a Nefeshnie feasts on a humanoid it has kept in its larder is uncalled for, but this is an interesting segue into the next subtopic. Nefeshnies can feast on negative emotions like fear, horror, and disgust. This doesn't have any canon effects in 5th edition D&D, but my research has revealed that an Nefeshnie's feasting on emotions leaves the victim in a stunned-ish state for several weeks following the attack. Granted, if a Nefeshnie is eating your emotions, it's probably about to eat your body, but how long do we really have on this mortal coil anyways? Cue existential dread. Not funny! DMs, fighting your players with a Nefeshnie relies on where. If your Nefeshnie encounter is outside of the Abyss, bear in mind that demons do not fear death outside of the Abyss, and will try to inflict as much damage and trauma as possible before they're sent back. A Nefeshnie has no reason to negotiate with your players unless your party is inside the Abyss and the Nefeshnie realizes that your players are actually strong enough to defeat it. Nefeshnies negotiating are prickly allies at best, as a Nefeshnie will quickly manipulate the interpretation of the terms to best serve the Abyss. Not the Abyss's denizens, but the Abyss itself. But if your party needs to fight a Nefeshnie, the first thing to remember is that the Nefeshnie is able to analyze your player's characters and determine which ones need to be eliminated first. The Nefeshnie can effortlessly command its minions with its telepathy and exclude your abyssal-speaking player characters from intercepting the commands. Nefeshnies are not afraid of opportunity attacks and will fly down to strike a foe before flying out of range. Yes, even with a paltry flying speed of 30 feet, it's still better than a ground speed of 20 feet. However, if one of your player's characters manages to hit a Nefeshnie with 2 opportunity attacks in a row, the Nefeshnie will focus that player character down before moving on to another target. While Horror Nimbus is a great way to fear all your player's characters at once, a Nefeshnie realistically will use it on one target at a time. Frightened player characters have disadvantage on attack rolls against the Nefeshnie and cannot willingly move towards it. If the player character moves away, the Nefeshnie relishes in its opportunity attack, which will always be a bite attack. As far as a Nefeshnie's horde of accompanying demons, it's one of those mix and match things you'll have to make yourself. Here are some guidelines. A Nefeshnie is never in charge of a demon stronger than it, aka Mariliths, Balors, Goristros, reserved typically for Mariliths and Balors, and Molidae. Nefeshnie that are not sent by our dearest spider mommy Loth will not have a Yogg-Lol in their horde. Here's how I would structure an encounter with my players at level 14. Obviously, the Nefeshnie, 1 Cosm, 2 Vrok, plus a mix of Barlgura, Dretch, and Mains. The Chasm and Vroks provide aerial support and several crowd control effects while providing solid damage. The Barlgura, Dretch, and Mains are basic foot soldiers, but can be used to surround and trap your players' characters to make them easy pickings for the airborne demons. Players! Nefeshnies are intelligent opponents that are gonna with you. Your approach is entirely dependent on how your DM challenges you with the encounter, so all I can do is provide some advice before sending you into the crushing abyssal yonder. Whoever has visible magic items is going to get targeted first. Helms, armor, swords, shields, etc. Nefeshnies are smart enough to know many existing magic items and will prioritize combat on those individuals. If you have rings, necklaces, or other better obscured magic items, try to be subtle when you use them as to minimize Nefeshnie attention. As far as facing the Nefeshnie and its minions, hopefully you've prepared some area damage spells that deal damage not resisted by demons. Spirit Guardians is great for mowing down weaker demons. Conjure Woodland Beings or Conjure Fae can prevent your party from getting surrounded. Circle of Death, Sunbeam. The list of possibilities is limited by your imagination and how well you manage your spell list. And while Fireball isn't super effective against demons, most of their dexterity saving throws aren't amazing. Apply increasing amounts of fire correlating to your level of desperation. Anyways, what do you all think of Nefeshnies? Let me know in the comments below. A special thank you to my patrons. And thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, share my video on your Twitter, Facebook, or other social media, and make the leap to become one of my patrons on Patreon. I'll see you all next time.